You are on assignment.
We'll keep increasing sanctions.
I like people coming early.
Now, a behind-the-scenes look.
Hi, I'm Imran Siddiqui here with Alex Villarreal, and this is On Assignment.
It's been more than a year since the killing of Osama bin Laden. What's the relationship now between the U.S. and Pakistan?
The changing face of rural India. We get the story from New Delhi.
What's it like to be gay and living in Iran? You'll hear from a VOA Persian reporter getting first-hand accounts.
And of course, the Summer Olympics are on the way. We'll get a look at some of the contenders.
This is your VOA Backstage Pass, so join us as we go on assignment.
Let's go. 1 year ago, one of the most expensive manhunts in history ended when U.S. forces killed Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. Bin Laden's hideout was near Pakistan's premier military academy that jolted relations between Washington and Islamabad.
Pakistan demolished bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad earlier this year, but even without the physical reminder, Pakistanis remain resentful of how the al-Qaeda leader was pursued in their country. I talked with VOA's Ayaz in Islamabad to find out more. Let's take a look.
Osama bin Laden's last abode in the heart of the garrison town of Abbottabad now lies in ruins. These next-door neighbors recall the fateful night when U.S. Special Forces killed the fugitive al-Qaeda leader.
I was out on my terrace after one of the helicopters crashed, and I saw another one flying over the mansion and then descended swiftly along the perimeter. The wind blew in the main door of my house.
Ayaz, it's been a year now since Osama bin Laden was killed in the U.S. raid. What are the lingering effects that we're still seeing in Pakistan?
Well, as you know, before the raid, relationship between United States and Pakistan was already fragile, and this unilateral action that the United States undertook, basically dealt a serious blow to the bilateral ties. And ever since the bin Laden raid, the relationship has gone from bad to worse. And, the situation is still prevailing. The two countries' diplomatic ties are almost suspended as of this moment. And the negotiations to overcome these differences are still continuing.
In a VOA interview late last year, U.S. Ambassador to Pakistan Cameron Munter defended the operation as a benefit to both countries.
The attack against bin Laden was not an attack on Pakistan. It was an attack on a common enemy, and that what we need to do to right any sense of unhappiness on the Pakistani side is to work even more closely together.
What about the views of the people you've spoken to on the ground in Pakistan?
Well, I think most people are still suspicious about, whether, as you know, most people here in Pakistan, particularly in that region where bin Laden's hideout was located in Abbottabad, it's a conservative part of Pakistan, and they're still suspicious about whether bin Laden was actually present there. And these are the questions, when you ask them about bin Laden's presence there and, what do they think? Everybody, most of them, they say, well, we don't know whether he was here. But obviously, when the Pakistani authorities bulldozed the compound, people in the locality were not happy because they thought maybe it will become some kind of a tourist spot and they will get jobs, because that is a poor area where people are looking for income sources, no matter how it comes to them.
And what is the significance of this demolition of the compound?
Well, obviously, Pakistan, by going ahead and demolishing this compound, tried to demonstrate to the world that, it is really serious about eliminating the Al-Qaeda linked any physical presence of Al-Qaeda in this country. It is serious about eliminating that. But as you know, the serious questions are still being raised in the United States and even in Pakistan, that how come that in a city which is basically a garrison city where the Pakistani military prestigious Pakistani military academy is also located, but still this man was able to hide in this compound for many, many years. And these are the questions that are still being raised, and there are no serious answers to those questions. Pakistan for the last 10 years has been telling the world that it is going after each and every Al-Qaeda linked militant because they also consider these elements a threat for the country as well, but still bin Laden was present, and most people still believe that the new leader of the Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, is also located somewhere in Pakistan, although Pakistan has repeatedly denied that there is any solid evidence suggesting that Ayman al-Zawahiri is present.
Ayaz, the latest news is that U.S. officials say a CIA drone strike killed al-Qaeda second-in-command Abu Yahya al-Libi. What's been the response in Pakistan to that?
Well, Pakistan, as was expected, in the first place protested against this strike and other strikes that have taken place in recent days. And in fact, a senior diplomat, a U.S. diplomat, was summoned to the foreign ministry to communicate or to convey Pakistan's reservations about the continuing drone attacks. But, because of the tensions in the bilateral ties and with this intensified drone attacks, it seems that both sides are sticking to their stance, and nobody is willing to show any flexibility, and that is why there is no hope in the near future that the diplomatic ties between these two important allies in the war against terrorism are going to be, will come back to normal in the near future.
All right, Ayaz. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to Ayaz Gul, our reporter in Islamabad.
It's time for a break. When we come back, VOA sports editor Parke Brewer joins us for a look at some of the notable contenders for Olympic glory at the coming Summer Games in London. You're watching On Assignment.
This is the Voice of America.
So they went about their...
VOA Special English, a way to learn American English and much more. Broadcasting news and features around the world on radio, television, and on the web at voaspecialenglish.com. For 50 years, helping people understand world events and the language and culture of America.
The Voice of America is offering online English lessons. The Classroom is Voice of America's new online English classroom. From the VOA homepage, click on Learning English and then click on the Classroom to start learning English. In the Classroom, you will find current news articles with customized English language lessons, English language activities for beginning, intermediate, and advanced English speakers, interactive workbooks and dictionaries under the Interactive Learning tab, and English programs showing you how English is really spoken, and English lessons available for teachers all over the world to use in their classrooms. Learn English with Voice of America. Click on the Classroom to start learning English today.
The Summer Olympics will be played this year in London beginning on July 27, and VOA sports editor Parke Brewer has been following some of the qualifying events for the Games and joins us now. Thank you so much for joining me, Parke. I know that you and a bunch of other media representatives had a chance to hang out with these Olympians. Is there any chance for our team, the U.S. team, to bring back some gold medals?
Oh, absolutely. I think, of course, the number one name everybody's thinking about, Imran, is Michael Phelps. This was a guy that won a record 8 gold medals at the Beijing Games in 2008. What a fantastic swimmer he is. Many think probably the best all time. He actually will be able to go for another record in London, and that will be the most total medals won in a career. What's being kept a little bit secret now is neither he nor his coach will say what events he's going to swim. So we're pretty sure he's not going to swim 8, but we don't know how many yet. And of course, he does have to qualify for the Olympics. So all the swimmers, they say the U.S. Olympic qualifying trials are probably even more pressure-packed than going to the Olympics.
That's fantastic. But what about the competition? What about other countries? Do you think any one of them will be bringing back some gold too?
Oh, sure. I think the big name we want to think about in a returning star is Usain Bolt, the great sprinter from Jamaica. Considered the world's fastest man. He holds the world record in the 100 meters and the 200 meters. He's actually being challenged by some really good runners from his own country, and there'll be some top Americans that will give him a go. But I think what's really going to be exciting is to see if maybe he not only can break his own world records, but if the Jamaicans, who have great relay teams, that's going to be great there to see if they can defeat the United States, or the United States maybe will have some good relay teams this time. But the Jamaicans, they're fast.
Okay, what about basketball and soccer or football? Huge audience base, and you know, people keep talking about men, but you know, let's talk a little bit about the women's team. I mean, what do you think? How will their performance will be?
Well, this is going to be real interesting this time, because last year in the Women's World Cup, Japan upset the United States. That took place in Germany. Now they'll be in London, and this time the Americans are going for a 3rd straight Olympic gold medal. Can the Japanese come up with the kind of performance they had at the World Cup at the Olympic Games? But you also will have other strong teams in women's soccer. But certainly I think the United States probably will be the favorite, even though Japan won the World Cup. The United States has been ranked #1 in the world for quite some time. But let's not forget the women's basketball team. You talked about women's teams, and the United States women are going for a 5th consecutive gold medal. They've got a great team this year. One of the up-and-coming stars on that team is Maya Moore, who was Rookie of the Year last year in the WNBA for the Minnesota Lynx. She played for the head coach of the U.S. women's team, Gino Auriemma, who coaches at Connecticut and has won several titles there. So she's going to be one to watch on the U.S. women's team.
And of course, this is July 27, and you're going to be there too.
Absolutely, Imran. I'm really looking forward to this. I think these are going to be a very exciting Olympics.
Great. VOA Sports Editor Parke Brewer, thank you so much for joining us. My pleasure. Time for another break. When we return, a look at the secret life of gays in Iran. You're watching On Assignment.
This agency supports the country's election commission as spread criticism, anti-gay measures have been... Coming in first thing in the morning, I get down to my desk, get into my computer and just check all the stories we have.
I will come to work in the morning and of course hit the ground running. Yes, sad story. That part of the morning is really crazy for me, but that's how it is. I've gotten used to it.
Hey, spares no details of how... I'm so self-conscious. When we come in, we want to make sure the table looks shiny.
Oh, somebody was having a party on this table.
Dimi and I, we have a chemistry, and we work together very well.
Vincent is just an easygoing guy, and sometimes I like to kind of pull his coattails a little bit and just try to shake him up.
Hello, I'm Vincent McCory.
And I'm Dimiake Mokaliele. This is In Focus. Every time I get on the set, when I hear that you're on, hard as it might be to believe, I am a nervous wreck inside, because I always feel it's just a question of the prompter stopping and me not finding my words on the page and what will happen.
The world's most dangerous conflict. VOA's Chris Simpkins has... I think the best part is just knowing that you have an audience out there that is expecting you to tell them these stories, being able to relate to them, these stories, in a way that makes them feel informed. Kumaraswamy's legal action against rebel leaders.
Demi and Vincent enjoy each other. It's a very warm friendship.
They're joking. They have this great rapport. This is In Focus. This is In Focus.
He's half the face, I am half the face of the show.
The two of us together make it feel like the show is whole.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad says they do not exist. But in Iran, merely trying to be themselves is a crime that brings shame on their families.
But some Iranian homosexuals are starting to speak out about what it means to be gay in their country. Hamideh Aramideh of VOA's Persian News Network has been following their plight for years, and she shared with me what she learned. Let's go ahead and roll that.
The start of a normal day for Arash and Nima. But for them, just walking out the door is a reminder they're no longer at home in Iran.
The LGBT community is part of a vulnerable class of the Iranian society.
Arash left Iran for Turkey 9 months ago. He now works as a filmmaker and shot this video to help document his new life.
Hamideh, how dangerous is it to be gay in Iran?
It's really dangerous, Alex. Any type of relationship beyond the heterosexual marriage is forbidden. Transsexual is legal, it's not illegal. If person just put herself through the sex change operation. Homosexuality is crime, absolutely crime and forbidden, and then they can put you in execution.
How common is this?
It's, the Iran just says that we never ever execute person because he or she is a homosexual. But we just hang people, we kill people, execute them if they are rapists or murderer. But that's not true.
Right,
you
because
cannot
President Ahmadinejad, he denies even that there are gay people in the country, right?
Yes, because he doesn't want to answer the further questions. When he accepts the further question, the next step is why you just treat them like this. They are human, but he just wants to stop all the questions.
In Iran, we don't have homosexuals like in your country. In Iran, we do not have this phenomenon. I don't know who has told you that we have it.
Fareed, another Iranian exile living in Turkey, said on YouTube the feeling of oppression permeates Iran's everyday life.
When you walk down the street, you feel you're being assaulted from all sides. We're being looked at like a third gender.
What motivated you to cover this issue?
Okay, that's a long story, but we have to go back to my teenager's time. And then I had a friend, close friend. His name was Ali, and he born and raised in one of the most holy cities in Iran, Qom. Probably you heard about that.
Yes, of course.
And he was gay, and that was very, very difficult for him to say openly that I'm a gay. He was through so many horrible situations and problems with his family, with society, and then he came to Tehran, to the biggest city with the worst problems. So I always remember him.
آرش راد همکارم از چند ایرانی و غیر ایرانی ساکن سان فرانسیسکو در مورد نظرشون نسبت به همجنسگرایان پرسیده.
Yeah, and what was the response? I imagine it's rare to have coverage of homosexuality on media that airs in Iran. So what was the response?
The response of government has been always the same. They attacked me. But about the people, people are different, ideas are different. But thank God, because there are so many young, the population is young in Iran, and it's really, really acceptable for most of the young people in Iran,
So you did get some responses welcoming the fact that you covered this?
Yes, mostly, and shocking.
Like what?
Like I brought one of these shocking
responses.
And interesting response.
Yes.
From a man. He said, Hamideh, I was watching a program about homosexuality when my wife said, change the channel. What the hell are they talking about? What are you watching? But she didn't know how eagerly I watched your show about like-minded people like myself.
Wow.
I, like many others in Iran, had to hide my homosexual identity and repress my feelings. I can never reveal my secret to her and to my children. On behalf of myself and many others who I know, I thank you for informative program.
Wow. That must have had a huge impact on you.
Impact, I just cried. I have been crying so many times with some message like this. I mean, that is really, really
very
touchable.
powerful.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is powerful.
Well, Hamideh, very important work that
Thank
you're
you.
doing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Forget what you think you may know about rural India. Ox carts and bicycles are increasingly being replaced by the symbols of modern prosperity, from motorbikes and home electronics to hair and skincare products.
An agricultural boom is fueling this new prosperity, and On Assignment's Philip Alexio talked with Kurt Achin in New Delhi. Let's check that out.
What's going on in India is that certainly in certain parts of India, not everywhere, people who engage in agriculture, their lifestyle and their incomes are going up because there's food inflation and high food prices in India. That's a headache for the people that make policy, and it's a headache for the people that are buying food in the cities. But for the people that are producing the food, they have a lot more disposable income than they ever did before.
We have amenities the previous generations could never afford to have. We have motorbikes, mobile phones, a fridge, and other things.
And they are becoming the nexus of a whole consumer market. And a lot of industries are starting to cater to them. Advanced industries, motorbikes, mobile phones, all kinds of things that you associate with the cities.
So a lot of technological change is coming to these parts of India, but that's also got to be certainly changing their lives and changing their habits.
Things are completely different than it was a generation or certainly 2 generations ago.
In the past, we used to use sticks or cow dung ash to clean our teeth. But now, just like urban people, we use a toothbrush and toothpaste. We use shampoo and expensive oils and creams. We have everything in our village that people have in towns and cities.
There are stores with motorbikes, with refrigerators, air conditioners, and people are watching more and more in their homes satellite televisions and DVD players, that kind of thing.
So these sorts of changes that are occurring, is it mostly attributed to the high prices?
It's something of a virtuous circle. It starts with the prosperity of the agricultural sector. In some ways, it's a result of government policies. There are very lenient credit policies. There's a lot of government subsidies for agriculture. The government itself views the rural sector as a potential future engine of growth, and that's why they structure policies to encourage the rural population to become more and more prosperous. That sometimes has a darker side when it comes to credit bubbles and loans that these people can't pay off. But the brighter side of the story is the fact that a lot of these people are prospering. And a lot of that sort of secondary market of technological goods, consumer durables, vehicles, things like that, are starting to go into those rural areas.
There used to be nothing in this village. Everybody was illiterate. But now people are sending their children to schools.
Some people are able to make their whole income in the countryside, not from agriculture and farming, but from selling high-end stuff to people who do farming. And that sort of multiplies the market. It becomes more and more like a city. And then people don't have to leave.
So they're also not only purchasing products, but they're also building schools, and you alluded to that in your report.
The investment bank Credit Suisse described that blurring of urban and rural as the Great Indian Equalization in a recent analyst report. Fewer and fewer rural Indians are getting their income directly from agriculture. Salim Ansari says many are finding jobs in urban-style construction.
Just like in the city, lots of new buildings are going up here. There are car garages, towers, and big houses. We have all the city amenities in our village.
It's interesting that this change is occurring at the same time that India's economy has been slowing greatly. I think it was, 8.4% growth about a year ago, and it's kind of dropped quite a bit. It's the slowest growth now in almost, 9 years.
If you read the Indian press and listen to what Indians are saying about themselves, there's a lot of doom and gloom, a big sense that be it politicians or be it external conditions or whatever the reason is, that sort of the Indian dream has burst, or the Indian dream is no more. That's the pessimistic view. You could look at the countryside for a dose of optimism here. I think there's a lot of hopefulness about, sort of a rising tide lifting all boats in the countryside. Prosperity is fueling this virtuous circle of more consumption, more spending, and more optimism in the countryside.
All right, Kurt Achin in New Delhi. Thanks a lot for joining us. Great report.
That's Kurt Achin in New Delhi. Videographer Azizur Rahman contributed to his report for VOA.
Turning now to South Korea. Lawbreakers, beware. That's because citizens trained to videotape illegal activity are on the loose, and they're making extra income by selling those tapes to police.
And some might say, is that woman with the handbag a new customer or hiding a video camera? Our full feature story from Jason Strouther in Seoul is about citizen paparazzi.
Ji Soo-hyun leads a double life. Starting 3 months ago, the housewife began a career catching lawbreakers red-handed. The 54-year-old says her specialty is going undercover at private tutoring schools.
I pretend that I'm going to enroll my kids in the school. I ask the faculty about extra services. There are a lot of illegal activities in these schools, like staying open too late and charging additional fees. These are the types of things I record.
When Ji is on her mission, she uses a small, concealed camera to record video like this, shot at a pharmacy where the cashier did not charge for a plastic bag, as required by law. The Academy's director, Moon Sung-ok, also helps students find buyers for their secret footage.
The students want to make money. I contact them with police agencies, local governments, health agencies, and education authorities who pay them.
Moon claims citizen paparazzi can earn between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. But some observers say the government should not be paying neighbors to spy on neighbors. Chun Sang-chin is a sociologist at Seoul's Sogang University.
When it comes to citizen paparazzi, the government is outsourcing responsibility to civilians, and everyone knows it is a big problem.
Citizen paparazzi, Ji Soo-hyun says she does not feel sympathy for people breaking the law.
At first, I felt guilty about reporting on these people, but the more I did it, I realized how much illegal activity is going on all around us.
Ji says she is now turning her camera on people who skip out on paying their taxes. Jason Strouther for VOA News, Seoul.
And that's our show for today. Imran and I will be back next week when we'll take you behind the scenes of Egypt's critical runoff election, and we'll also look at Pakistan's efforts to eradicate polio.
And you can find all of our episodes at the Programs tab at voanews.com, and you can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. On behalf of the entire On Assignment team here in Washington, D.C., thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.